Fluskagis back again. And as promised, we are doing trusting, trustworthiness, etc. Something we need to talk about, given, you know what it's like on the news at the minute. It's all about, oh, well, has so-and-so said this, and can we trust this person to do that, and, oh, are we going to do this, are we going to protect this, and, oh, what about that, and the moment there's a sniff of someone doing something wrong, oh, do you think they'll get sacked? Oh, how long do you think they'll... What, has there been any... Has anybody said... No, but the media love it. News media love it. Oh, she might get sacked. Suella Braverman, she might get sacked. Says you.
Well, of course, if you're opposition, it helps you because it puts you in a vulnerable position going into next year.
Do you know what one of Sarah's old jobs was? Filling in... complying with freedom of information requests when she worked with... it was a while ago. It was a while ago with the NHS, and I thought, oh, that's intriguing. She went, yeah, well, you know, they're asking for them stats about success rates and etc., etc. You know, the kind of stuff that you see on the news, and when they're interviewing, say, well, do you know, only 50% of badgers have penis operations within the first 6 months, right? You know, all that kind of stuff. The kind of things that they quote at each other. And the thing that disappointed her about it, I mean, she'll be hearing this, I think that disappointed her about it was, you know what it's going to be used for. And you're preparing these stats thinking, that's not how I'd answer that question. But you know that that's what they're going to use it for. They're pulling out specific stats to answer, to back up claims that they've already got in their head, rather than pulling the data to find things to talk about. They're doing the opposite of what a scientist would do. They're trying to prove a claim rather than disprove a claim. So you would try and falsify your evidence, wouldn't you? You'd try and find a way. You start with a premise and you try to find out whether it's true by disproving it. And if you, in the end, can't disprove it, then that becomes the running theory, right? Not the other way around, where you... What's it called? Confirmation bias, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's battles, isn't it? So, yeah.
It's like
what you got?
64% of the time, I'm 100% right.
Aye. Makes sense.
Makes absolute sense. Yeah.
It's like Stu. Stu says, I'm never wrong. I'm just less right.
Yeah. I used to say something like, I'm just not exactly 100% accurate. I'm not wrong. I'm just not exactly 100% accurate.
Yeah, I'm just not 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What percentage do you have to be incorrect? 90%? 80%? Well, bearing in mind the weather is only 70% correct within 3 hours.
9.9.
Is it the majority? Is it 51%?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was shocked to find out that the weather is only 70%. They only have a 70% of correctly predicting rain within 3 hours of it raining. What's the point?
Yeah. That makes sense. It makes sense. I looked at it yesterday. I was going to do something today because the weather looked good, and then I got up this morning and it was like completely different. And it said it was going to rain, and I was like, "All right, that kibosh is what I'm going to do."
We dismiss it though, don't we? We just go, well, you know, you don't really pay attention to how many times that's actually happened.
So of course, I'm looking on the 5-day weather forecast, and I'm thinking, right, I'm going to do that job on Wednesday. Idiot, you know.
I did that for a week, you know. On Monday, I recorded I took a screenshot of what the week looked like, but focusing on Friday, right?
Yeah.
And Monday, I took a screenshot. Tuesday, I took a screenshot. Wednesday, all the way to Friday, completely different every day. And Friday was nothing like what they said it was going to be on a Monday. And they'll even freely admit and say, well, you know, beyond maybe it's 1 or 2 days, then why do it? Well, because, you know, it informs. Does it? You've just said you can't rely on it. Well, but something's better than nothing, in it. No, not if you make plans for a barbecue. It's going to be blazing hot on Friday, and by the time you get to Thursday night, you're telling them, Oh, it's going to absolutely hoy it tomorrow.
So how much do we hang on it? But the fact, like, on a Monday, you look and you go, it's going to be a scorcher at the weekend. Scorcher at the weekend.
Oh, I know. How many conversations have we had like that in the office? Oh,
let's have a barbecue this weekend.
It's going to be a scorcher.
Yeah, scorcher.
Aye.
Yeah. So me trust bit with sort of it's I sort of test my own values and belief systems, because when you're looking at certain things to purchase or do, like I find it difficult to trust banks and the big organisations.
Yeah. Do you read the negative reviews first? Because I that's what I do. I read the negative ones first. I like to know what's wrong.
Yeah.
Rather than what's right, because anybody can put a nice review out.
It was funny because you say that. I was on Amazon just before we're talking, and I was looking at purchasing something, and it only had like a 3-star rating. So I went straight to the reviews and just looked at it, and it was like cheap, rubbish, crap, don't buy them. Yeah. And I was like, right, on the next thing. So I did default to the negative reviews to see why.
I find it more useful.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's a personality trait of blues.
Yeah.
It's to you want to know what's going to go wrong with it. So, well, I don't need to know all of the 5-star. This was brilliant. That was great. Exactly as described. Well, that's what they're all going to say. What I want to know is how many times has it gone wrong, and what's the breadth of things that are going to go wrong? Is it going to completely break? Is it, well, it occasionally needs X. Right, can I tolerate that?
Yeah.
Can I tolerate that? Can I buy it? Well, am I willing to put up with that if that happens to mine?
If it's top end of the scale in terms of number of purchases, reviews, and it's got like a 4.5 to 4.9, I'm not even looking at the negative reviews, because in all probability, because it's been purchased so many times, it's a good piece of kit, whatever it is.
Yeah, then you're going to get people who put in paid 5-star and paid 1-star reviews that are trying to mess with each other's products. So you have to count that out. So yeah, I mean, if it's above 4, you're like, well, and it's had like 1,000 purchases, you think, aye.
But my quandary, which was the week before last, and we said we'd give an update, was I was looking for a bit of electrical work and a bit of building work to sort of a couple of quotes, and you get into the bit where electricians, like, I'll turn up on a Tuesday, then I'll turn up on a Thursday, and then the phone call comes in, and it's like, oh, the traffic's this, the traffic, and then I start questioning, and then obviously we did the episode, and he said he would turn up Sunday morning, which was unusual, and he did, so he did turn up, and then I waited for the quote. And the same with these sort of builder type guys. You can go on something called My Builder and checkatrader.com and all of these.
Yes. Yeah.
And I find myself, these type of people, because I know they're independents, I find myself wanting to trust them. Rather than the big conglomerates like the banks, I'm finding myself not wanting to trust them. So my default on these smaller guys is trust them. But actually, if you were to take the Amazon example, it should be the reverse.
Yeah.
I should be not trusting them because they're small and independent, but I want to because they're face-to-face people and they're talking to me.
Yeah, he's just a guy running his own business, started up by himself, and yeah, well, that's true of many of these little scam things you see on the telly, isn't it? Yeah. And he builds half a house and, you're going to have to pay us up front for the 50 grand later. Piece of the house is missing. Part of the garage is missing. Half this extension is done. Rain's coming in through all the holes in the wall, is it? And he's done off to Crete.
Yeah.
With the money, and then that little guy, the little bald guy, that does all those shows, turns up and he's knocking on his door.
Dom
saying,
Jolly.
Mr. This.
Whatever he's called.
Yeah, Dom Jolly. Whatever he's Dom something or other, and he's knocking on his door with a camera crew.
Yeah.
Saying, well, are you going to answer me some questions? And the guy runs off to his van and he's chasing the van down. Are you going to answer me some questions? What about Mrs. So and So?
Matt, that was the other one on Watchdog. Matt Allwright. Matt Allwright.
Yes.
Yeah, and he did.
Yeah.
It's interesting. He did one on the. Is it the Samsung flip phone? Which is obviously the Samsung flip phone. You know, the new flip. Where it's,
Yeah. I was actually looking at one of them for next year.
well, here Matt Allwright. Out of the millions that Samsung have sold, they managed to find 2 people that have been really disappointed, and they want to take that up with Samsung and really work out what's going wrong with this problem with these phones. I was like, what? We've managed to find some people that are really disappointed. Well, no shit, Sherlock, because you looked for them.
Right.
Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, if you sell 1 million, you're going to have a couple of people that hate it, right?
And you know, so a phone like iPhone, Samsung, you know, inevitably the product is pretty good, you know, because they've sold so many of them, and we tend to see that with cars and phones. Like if there's a problem, they'll do a recall on them.
Yeah.
But it was just the fact that, and interesting, the builder guy that came and I was having a look, and we were talking about this and that, and I looked at a ceiling. I was looking at, you'll need to board that, and I'm like, oh, don't want to spend the money boarding it out. I just want to, and then of course you just go and you sort of do an investigation. You go on YouTube, you look at other things. Mm-hmm. So I got to the bit where I listen, but accept nothing, check everything. So if somebody says to me, oh, you shouldn't do that, you should do this, I'm like, oh, okay. But then I'm going off to do my own investigation work. And
is he right? Is he right? Like, oh, should I be blocking up that with that? Should I not be using? Yeah,
well,
I'd.
If you're that builder type and you want to save time, well, buying a piece of plasterboard and sticking it on the top of a ceiling or a wall saves you a massive amount of time, and you charge the customer for that and make a premium on it. If you're doing it yourself and you don't want that additional cost, you're looking to sort of evaluate the options of what makes sense in terms of your hourly rate, blah blah blah. So I did some checking. Anyway, I decided to do it a different way that he suggested, and it worked out all right. It saved me a bit of money. Overall, you know, my time that, yeah, you could argue the toss that it probably cost me a little bit more time.
You always assume that your own time's free, though, don't you? When you're working out cost effectiveness, you go, oh, well, my time costs now. It does.
Yeah.
It does so.
How often do you want to be able to set a ladders with a 1200 by 600 piece of plasterboard, trying to stick it on the wall with just yourself and floating it on your back and trying to use a drill at the same time? It's like,
oh dear me!
Rather than just getting a roller and putting some sort of glue on the ceiling with a roller and then just saying jobs are good, you know. And so it was, but it was. Yeah. Anyway, the update of the sort of trust bit was I got a couple of quotes in. One from the electrician, one from the builder, which I was happy with, and you got to do the pros and cons on when you're happy and when you're not happy. Are you looking to save £5 here or 500 quid? You know, and do you get that vibe from them? You know, do you feel like you can trust them? Do you feel you could ring them up and say not happy with that? I actually got to the point with the builder and the electrician that I told them about my values. I said, look, if you tell me you're coming next week, and getting back to the conversation we had before, if you say you're coming on Monday and you don't turn up, I'm going to be upset. And I used a little bit stronger word than upset. If you're saying you're coming probably at the end of next week, I'm cool with that. So now you've managed my expectations by not saying Monday, just saying probably coming at the end of next week. You're giving yourself flexibility. I'm okay with that, but don't say Monday and don't turn up. I said I won't be happy.
Especially if right now he's guessing.
Yeah, there was.
It might be Monday. Then tell me Wednesday and turn up on Monday.
Yeah, so right? That was the thing. Right, we can start Wednesday, and then it came this morning, I have an assessment of the job, and they were like, well, the job we're on, they've just asked us to do the toilet, so it's probably going to be not Wednesday. And I went, it's probably Friday then, isn't it? And he was like, well, yeah, it could be Thursday, but nah, so it's probably going to be Friday. So you play this game, and then of course it's like, well, that's the price, But if we dig up this bit and we find that the pipe's not right and it needs a bit, and I'm like, yeah, what? And oh, it won't break the bank. I said, no. What does that mean? What does break the bank mean? You know, it won't break the bank. Your bank's bigger than my bank. You know, my bank's quite small.
Exactly. You might, it'll be a couple £100. Well, that's a lot of money out of my budget.
Yeah. It is a lot of money. You know, oh, it's just a piece of pipe. You know, instead of being that wide, it's this wide. And I'm just like, you know, the cautionary bits are coming out. So, you know.
You kind of want a contingency wobble in his quote, don't you? So, well, what's your min-max? What's your min-max value? Well, all going well, it'll be this. Any contingency, it could possibly be this.
Yeah.
I'd be happy with that. But I just want to know. I don't like surprises.
Well, it's interesting because, you know, we're talking about what your mother's doing, you know, in lavender, and it's the 2 times of the year next month where I like surprises, which is my birthday and Christmas. We're all within 2 weeks. The rest of the year, I don't want surprises. I just want to know.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to be told that, oh, maybe, you know, no, that doesn't work for me. So, yeah, I just found it fascinating when you analyze your own behavior about what you are trusting and not trusting in certain situations. But actually, my logic doesn't make sense on trust sometimes. So I shouldn't be necessarily trusting these smaller people, but I want to. And I should be trusting the bigger guys because they're bigger, and I don't want to.
Yeah, investment, all but you think, oh, these big corporations will just take your money. Because you feel like, with big companies, you feel like that they're hiding behind something because there's so many of them and the company's so big. You think, oh, they're unaccountable.
Yeah.
They're unaccountable because they're too big. Like, it's a machine. Whereas one dude in a van, you're like, well, I know who you are. I know where you are. And it's just me and you having a chat. So, yeah, but how often do they just do off? It'd just be him in Cyprus with your money.
Yeah.
It's all down to character, I suppose. Even then, you can have good and bad characters in big companies, right? We've worked for some big ones.
Yeah, and I think they protect themselves, you know, from issues by, and we tend to call that red tape or whatever we call it, but they're protecting themselves from the comeback. So you purchase, and they don't want you to come back. He has a one. So I bought it's an oscillating tool. It cuts bits of wood. An oscillating tool, and I was doing something yesterday. I've only had it since August, and it burnt out. And like when you go on Amazon, I'm outside of the return period, so I couldn't work out how you raise the issue of the fact that a product hasn't lasted. So what I've done is I've bought exactly the same product again. Yeah, I'm getting it delivered today. I'm going to use it tomorrow and say, oh, it wasn't working, and I'm going to send it back because it's now within the new returns process.
Send the other one back.
I'll send the other one back. Yeah.
Genius.
I know. So yeah, and it's actually cheaper now than it was when I bought it in August. And I did a review. I did a review on the product saying which is the best oscillating tool, and it's in the top 5. And I thought, oh, I'm not. So I bought another one, and I'm just going to send. I'm going to swap the bit and just send it back and keep all the other bits. Yeah.
The attachment.
Yeah.
On an oscillating.
The attachment that I was using when it broke is this one.
Oscillating. Can also be described as vibrating, right?
Yes. It's funny, as I was trying to think of what it was called, that wouldn't come out my mind. It's oscillating. Yeah.
Oscillating.
Yeah. Well, never mind. Yeah, that was my jaunt down trust for this week.
So, you haven't had any negative experiences so far then in getting yourself through this new build? This new career venture?
No,
nothing put you off so far?
I
mean, it's all entirely new, isn't it?
Yeah. There's some
from tradespeople to professional, even solicitors and stuff like that. So
Mm.
it's a hell of a process, especially to do on your own.
Yeah, yeah, it's a journey. It's like anything else. You learn stuff as you go along, and you'll have if you accept that there's going to be hiccups on any journey, it's easier to tolerate them, and learn from it. Whatever you're spending money, time, or whatever, and that's where I sort of put it in my little box up there. The first adventure, the first piece of work is a learning job. Going to get lots of things wrong. Just move on to the next job.
Did you have any
Yeah.
trust? Do you have any trust-related questions when it came to finding your solicitor? So, I mean, that's a biggie. Making sure all that's right, and it's expensive as well. And it's very professional advice. Like, yes, building a wall and doing different building-related things is a manual skill and one that you still have to learn. I'm not saying that lawyery stuff and building stuff are things I can say, well, one's harder. No, not necessarily. But that's all legal shenanigans, and it's stuff you can understand. The build of a wall or the plastering of a thing, I think you can comprehend that better than all of the legalese and all of the history of law and things that they have. I find it less questionable.
Yeah.
Or less easy to question, rather. So, I mean, did you not struggle finding someone to represent you in all of these dealings?
You do, and you end up paying through the nose because you want to do something, and then in hindsight, you don't understand hidden costs, you don't understand this and that. But again, you take that into the next process. You build a relationship. So I've got a relationship with a person now that I didn't have before, who's actually quite cool. And in terms of legal people, I have a connection to him because we both worked in Bangkok for a while, which we didn't know. Yeah, so
nice.
He's an independent consultant as well as working for a company. So now I'm connected to his independent consultancy company, rather than going through the header company, which means I can save some money. So, nice. And he wasn't your typical guy. He was, where, dear sir, an email. He would just write, Mark, can you fill this in? Oh, yeah, no problem. Yeah. So there's no P's and Q's.
Nonsense.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's a
journey.
I'll leave you with this bit. Just been speaking to my brother's other half. She came round just as I was leaving my mum's after Sunday dinner, and she's a bit stressed. It turns out now they've just moved into a new build. It was easier going new build because of all of the new build schemes and things that help you pay for a house, right? So this is why they went down the sort of new build route. It's been a bit of a bumpy road. This camera is going in the bin. I'm tired of it. Constantly focusing on not anything but me. It's an absolute... Anyway. So what's ended up happening is, right, they've moved in. They've had some letters through from the bank. I'll leave the name out for the moment, but from the bank, right? And there was all sorts of you know what it's like buying a house. Oh well, this one will give you this rate, but only on this. And basically, if you have to complete it by this date, otherwise we need to do another credit check. Blah blah blah. All of that. They've been through all of that. They finally moved in. Get this letter. Your first payment is going to be 2.5 payments of your mortgage. What? Well, you see, according to our terms and conditions, we like to give you a breather before you start any of your payments. So we don't take money off any of our customers for the first 20 days of their move-in date. And then because of the date that you've chosen to pay on, which is at the start of the month, that overlaps into another month. So they're going to have to find for their very first payment 2.5 grand.
These are the hidden messages I hate.
Oh well, it includes part of the previous month's interest plus then that full month, and then because of their 20-day arrangement, it pushes you just into another month. beyond the first of the next month. So now we have to charge you 2 full months plus that little bit of interest from the previous.
But what are the
£2,700 on that first payment?
What are the major things that affect new buyers like this? It's the money that they're going to have to outlay. Are you aware that if you start at the beginning of a new month, that this could probably happen? Just letting you aware up front.
Exactly what I said. Did they not lay it out saying, oh, by the way, we do have this 20-day sort of period of not charging you anything, and I'm sure some clever sod somewhere has done that for that reason, because it pushes 20 days. They've tested it on 18, they've tested it on 20. Oh no, 20 is the magic number, and it might overlap this, which means this. And yeah, but that's not good if on your very first payment you default.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening was, because of the company they went through to buy the house through, they gave them this cashback deal on this and that and stuff they didn't want included in the house. So if not for this cashback deal that they'd done, they wouldn't have had the money. I mean, who when they're first moving in has $2,500 sitting in the bank after you've bought all your gubbins and paid for your move and you've got all your stuff and that's set up? So there's a trust issue with a big company.
There. The problem is they know that you get certain point down the line where it doesn't make any sense to pull out in terms of financially, because you're committed because of solicitors' fees, surveys, all of that, and you're basically committed. So you just take beating after beating after beating at the end of the process. And
this was just an absolutely massive slap on their face, because this is coming out shortly. So, well, that's Christmas then. Yeah,
it's gone, isn't it?
That's it, done.
And any money they had was sort of titivating at the beginning, gone.
Oh yeah, their little contingency budget for topping this up. You know what it's like when you buy anything new, a new car, new house, wherever. There's always little teething things, a little hole that needs filling in, or there's something you need to, there's always something missed. Or by the time the house settles, maybe a little thing will show up somewhere, or what have you, right? So all of that, as much as they've tried to have these contingencies and little sort of buffer zones and whatnot blown out the water, so he's working Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day. Yeah,
whatever it is.
He has no excuse to say no, because he's like, I need the money.
I know.
And of course now she's upset. Well, he's not going to be back. He's going to be out from 9 in the morning on Christmas Day till 7 at night.
Yeah.
So he won't be back in the house till about 7. So I mean, these days we generally have Christmas later, right? But it means he's not turning up till about 7 p.m. So she's like, well, do you just want to come up here? We'll do sausage roll things and whatnot. We'll open presents, and so that's a bit. So I said, look, I don't want to open mine until we're at his house, so we'll all go up to his. And rather than having to miss out and sit and watch him open his stuff, we'll take all our stuff up there. And I said, we're going to cart all that up there. I said, we'll put some of it in my car then.
Yeah.
We'll both drive up, and then we'll sit and do it all as a family rather than do half and half, just because we're supposed to do it in the morning. We're not supposed to do it in the morning. Let's just do it together, right?
Yeah.
So I was. It's an absolute first time buyer, absolute minefield. And T's and C's. One of the best channels I've ever watched about terms and conditions is the Black Belt Barrister. You should check him out. He's brilliant laying stuff out. He says, look, this isn't advice, this is just my professional legal opinion on some of these things. And he's gone over all sorts, including the Captain Tom case and this and that. So he's a brilliant watch. So if you ever get stuck on an issue, including TV licenses and all of that, you can even send your own issues in, and he'll walk you through it and say, look, I can't say that this isn't legally binding. This is just opinion, not legal advice. I cannot do that over my channel. So he's ended up with. He only started in lockdown. He's got 350,000 subs. Yeah, he's very good. It's quite compelling to watch as well. I've learned so much. These little ins and outs of certain processes. Like that in terms and conditions that you get caught out.
Transparency, that's what we want.
Yeah, and him getting caught out. You should watch one of his latest ones about being caught out with this gym. And he wanted to cancel. And the rigmarole he went through, that the person on the end of the email didn't even know the company's own T's and C's. So, anyway, anywho's it. So we've done a bit of a longer episode this week. We've got a 30-minute. Trust was an important thing, and I'm still planning out what I wanted to do for some other episodes. So we've got a 30-minute instead of 2 20-minutes. So I'll bang this out on Tuesday. But there'll be no Thursday. Back to normal the week after. All me folks are away, so we're going to do it sooner on the next couple of Sundays.
Yeah, we'll do it.
Alright, cool. Right, so questions, comments, all of that. Tell us what you thought. If you enjoyed it, great way to help the channel, completely free. If you want to see some more, hit the subscribe button. You get your reminders and your notifications, or follow, depending on the platform you're on. But until the next episode, take care.